All right, and we are back with another episode. And joining me today, Francois Klark. How's it going?
It's going well, Cody. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. For starters, for those who are watching who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from.
I am originally from South Africa, born in Namibia, and I moved to Canada to study music. Been in Canada ever since then. Music scene's been really good to me here, so kind of just made Canada home. All the family's still back in South Africa, and I try to go visit all the time, and I'll always be South African at heart. But I'll gladly wave that South African Canadian flag. Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. And tell me how music came into your life. Is it something you grew up on? Something you just fell in love with one day?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, definitely grew up with it. Both my parents were in the performing arts. It's neither of their professions, but uh, dad was in drama and theater stuff while he was at university, and my mom was in like serenading groups and always played guitar. And so she would always sit with us, play little songs, make up little jingles and commercials and things. And we also had my grandma's baby grand piano in the house, and that was always there for us to just play on. So I fell in love with songwriting because of the piano just always being there. But yeah, absolutely. Like thanks to my parents, many years in choirs and just traveling all over South Africa, being exposed to a whole bunch of music. Yeah.
Awesome. And okay, so you came to Canada. You've had some crazy success over the years. Let's start with you sharing the stage, opening up for Grammy Award winner Jon Bellion, sharing the stage with Genuine, Karl Wolf. I'm sure the list goes on, but tell us some of your experiences with these guys.
Opening for John was definitely one of the highlights of all the different shows that I've done so far. Uh, I discovered his music through some discovery playlists on Spotify. And then it so happened that I released a record just as he was coming to town with his Beautiful Mind tour. And a buddy of mine was friends with one of his booking agents or something. And they just reached out to John and sent my stuff to him and said, if you guys are looking for an opener, Francois would love to do it. And then John reached out, got the gig, played at the time it was, I don't know if you remember or ever been to the Tattoo Rock Parlor in Toronto.
I don't,
Uh,
I have not.
a great venue. I don't think it exists anymore. I think it closed down, but sound is amazing there. Great sound engineer. And then also just John's fans that came out are just so incredibly supportive. I don't think I've ever walked onto a stage, and keeping in mind that none of these people at the show would know me. So they have no idea who I am. And I just walked on stage and they were so incredibly receptive. And from the first note, it was just like they were right there with you, jamming along. So that was a great show. Karl Wolf is actually somebody that I became friends with over the years because he's in Toronto and kind of lives downtown. And I connected with him through actually singing backup vocals for him.
Okay.
And been singing with him for a couple years now. Great guy too. That's one thing. Like I feel like I'm so blessed with working only with good people. I haven't been in a situation yet where I felt like walking out, or there's always just great personalities to work with. So yeah, all those guys are just amazing people to work with and be on stage with.
Awesome. And speaking of backup vocals, you did backup vocals on Canadian Idol as well, correct?
Yeah, so definitely, I feel like I worked my way up to that one. Like if this was like my LinkedIn profile, I'd be like, hey, started with this job, then moved on to this
Yeah.
job, climbed the ladder. But so I did. South Africa had a version of like I think it was called Idols. Yeah, it was just called Idols,
Yeah.
and it was just after Will Young did the British pop idols. I think that what it was called.
Yeah.
So I auditioned for the South African Idols and actually made it to, I think it was the top 100. And I was this young kid that just couldn't sing, man. I don't know how I made it that far. Like I listen back to some of those tapes and I just pray that nobody ever finds those
Right.
somewhere online. It's just so bad. And then auditioned for Canadian Idol here. As soon as I got here, that was my first year at university here, and also made it to the top 100, but that just kind of fizzled. And then 2 years after that, again, just a buddy from Humber called, said, hey, I can't make my gig this week at Canadian Idol. are you able to take the backup gig for the week? And so yeah, just sang back up on the show. Got to meet John Legend very briefly backstage because he was on that week. Saw Mariah. I think Mariah Carey performed that here. I remember, like her with 4 bodyguards. It was something crazy, like backstage.
All right.
And I remember all the stage hands running around, making sure that they got all the stuff that she needs. And yeah, great experience. Met some great people there. Actually, I met Justin Abedin. He's the guy that engineered the vocals for Paper Planes. I met him on Canadian Idols, and then years later, ended up in studio with him to record the vocals for Paper Planes.
Okay, nice. And do you have any like behind the scenes stories that you can share that like weren't on TV or caught on camera or anything?
From Canadian Idol?
Yeah.
Well, to throw it back to John Legend, I heard him before I saw him. He was, miles away down the hall, and you just heard this big voice. He has the biggest voice, just coming down the hallway as he was warming up, walking towards the stage. That was that thing. And he's just also the nicest guy, like warm handshake. Hey man, how are you doing? Like, like you've known him for years. Also, what else? Like, I remember, I don't know if you remember Brian Mello. He was one of the guys that was on Canadian Idol. He was actually the year that I was competing in the show.
The name?
He was
maybe
vaguely familiar. He's like a singer-songwriter, kind of more of a rocky thing. He now lives in I think he moved to Nashville, and he's a songwriter and works with a band over there now.
Okay.
But also, yeah, I just remember first days when he wasn't, a known name in the Canadian scene, and just we're all very nervous sitting backstage and stressing out, because like the whole thing, I don't know if they structure those shows like this, but they want to stress you out. But it's like 11 o'clock at night. You just finished your day. You're so tired. And they're like, here's your new song for tomorrow. You have to have it memorized and perform perfectly tomorrow. So I just, I remember sitting on little steps at the convention center in Toronto with Brian and a bunch of people just practicing and rehearsing stuff. Nothing scandalous. There no behind the stage scandal stories.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody just, from Jon Bellion's team to everybody else that we've kind of talked about so far. Everybody works really hard. They're top of their game, really healthy, vocal health, ready for the performance. Just want to give a really good show.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Perfect. All right. Okay. Moving forward, you had one of your songs featured in one of the dance films. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it was a film called Feel the Beat.
That's the one. Yes.
And it was a Netflix film that came out. I think it's now exactly a year ago that the film came out. It was a film by director Alyssa Down, who did Black Balloon. She's now doing a movie, Ivy and Bean, and also again for Netflix. And Mia Michaels was actually, I don't know if you know Mia Michaels, like the choreographer for So You Think You Can Dance.
I don't know.
So she was doing the casting, I think, for the dance portion of the film.
Okay.
So when they had all the actors in, and she did a choreographed dance, just because it's such a heavy, like it has a bunch of dance scenes in the film. So they had to put these kids, like really young kids, through all these choreography and make sure that they can dance. And so I met up with Alyssa, the director, and she told me this story, kind of how the song ended up in the film. Because I don't have a sync agent, I don't have a publisher, as independent as they come and scared of labels and all these different things. So Mia had used this. The song is called Always for the dance casting. And then Alyssa walked into the room and she watched some of the dancing, and after asked Mia, wait, what's this song? Because, why don't we just use this song in the film? It just kind of matches the lead actress's story arc or her character arc quite well.
Great. And
then Mia and Alyssa had the music supervisor reach out to me and say, hey, do you own the rights to the song? You would really like to place it in the song, in the film. And it started out as just a placement for a short dance scene. But they kept, like, every month they keep calling back, say, hey, so we want to use it in the score now. We also want to use it in the credits. Oh, we also want Sofia Carson, the actress in the film, she's a Disney Descendants actress. We also want her to re-record the song and then they call me back and say, oh, we also want her to re-record it in Spanish. So it's just something that kind of grew and grew. I could have never, hoped for something like that, and really, really thankful for it, because I feel like it kind of just opened the door, and it kind of opened my eyes to the opportunities that, or like things that I really want to do with music. I've always loved film and TV, and being able to kind of just see, oh, you know what, the stuff that you've written kind of works in film, and then pursuing songwriting for film and TV from this point on. Like, it's something that I really like to do.
Absolutely. And how does it feel like when you have someone like Sofia Carson singing your song?
Wild, absolutely wild. She's so gorgeous and phenomenal at what she does, and a talented actress and a beautiful singer. So to have somebody that's so top of her game taking on one of your songs and recording it is, I can't believe it. And it's wonderful that, I could go back and listen to her versions of this stuff. Never met her. I just kind of dealt with her producer, talking about arrangements and the orchestral, because she did an orchestral version of the thing.
Right.
So never got a chance to talk to her, which would have been amazing, just to say that's amazing and thank you for doing it. But yeah, no, it's a pretty mind blowing experience for sure.
Yeah, very cool. All right, man. Let's talk about your newest single, Paper Planes. Tell us about it and how it all kind of came together.
Starting all the way back, I think like a lot of people, if you have the opportunity to travel, that's something that, it's really easy to get caught up in and just want to travel all the time. But when I was back at Humber, I was in a Latin ensemble, and we played a whole bunch of, samba and bachata and all these different Latin stuff. And obviously as a vocalist, you have to sing in the language. And
Sure.
Here's this Afrikaans boy from South Africa, he barely speaks English, and now starts to speak, here's a song, you have to go sing it in Spanish, and just fell in love with the language so much. And then that kind of made me fall in love with the culture, the people, Mexico. And then I ended up going, first I went to Guatemala, and then Colombia, and then most recently I went to Oaxaca. And I was in this small beach town, Puerto Escondido, just on the coast of Oaxaca, sitting on the beach. Sun was going down. It's like one of those moments, very cheesy, but everything is just gold and on fire. Sun's going down. It's so beautiful, peaceful, and everything was just so warm. And so I kind of fell in love with that idea of just this beach town and being alone in this beach town, and time kind of slowing down. And so I thought, well, what if I dream up this little story about these two lovers that's kind of caught in this time bubble, and it's just the two of them. The whole world disappears. They're on the beach. They're getting lost in the streets in Puerto Escondido, and just this idyllic love story. And because I love film and TV so much, most of the time as I'm writing, I end up seeing kind of the visuals of, I'm imagining what this looks like. And then my lyric writing is kind of based on trying to find the best way to poetically put these scenes into words as descriptive as possible. And so Paper Planes is just that. It just kind of describes this moment, these snapshots, these intimate moments between two lovers, and then having the music just reflect that kind of feeling as well.
Okay. And this is available on all platforms?
Yeah, you can find it everywhere. If you just find Paper Planes Francois Klark, it will come up.
Okay, awesome. And you have a music video for this?
Yes, I do. It is coming out on the 8th, which I believe is this Friday. Time, I feel like whenever you release something, things just kind of get lost. So yeah, October 8th, the Paper Planes music video is going to come out.
Cool. And can you tell us kind of like the creative vision that you have behind that video?
Yeah, so I teamed up with Parliament Pictures as a production company in Hamilton. And I worked with those guys, came up with this idea. I had these 2 times a day. If you listen to the lyrics of the song, everything kind of happens at golden hour and at nighttime. So it's this couple on the beach during golden hour, and then nighttime when they're getting lost in the streets. So just had the idea of using those 2 locations, but then also going into a studio setup, because I really wanted, I didn't want the visual of the couple to be the dominant thing in the film, but I really wanted the performance to be in the film as well. So thought using those and kind of throwing it in, like kind of just sprinkling it throughout the music video, and then using the colors of golden hour and of the nighttime, so ambers and golds and blues, and using those in the studio lighting section for the performance. So we just follow the couple throughout most of the video, and then it just cuts to the performance. Myself with playing, we'll talk about that in a second. Myself, and then two violin players, also from Hamilton, and a cello player. Yeah. And so we're in this beautiful warehouse called Evil Empire Studios. It's a new video production studio in Hamilton that's opened up. And so it cuts between the couple and then our performance. So, oh man, I feel like I talk way too much. So you have to just slow me down. So the song was recorded on this old Yamaha harmonium pump organ. So you pump it with your feet while you're playing. It's like, it doesn't have many keys. I should have counted. I don't know. I'm such a terrible musician. I don't know how many keys there is, but it's way less than a piano.
Yeah.
And this Yamaha is so old and creaky. And so when we recorded the song, we mic'd the organ on the back, on the bass end, on the treble end. We mic'd the pedals. So you hear all these creaks of this old wood. And then in production, the producer, Sean Wharton, he's from a band called On Planet. He used those creaks and cracks and kind of built the drum groove with all those creaks and cracks. So the harmonium plays a pretty big role in the production of the song. And then you can see it also in the music video.
That's very cool. That's awesome. Well, that's awesome, man. I like that old stuff, like the old instruments and.
Oh man.
So
yeah, me too. Absolutely. Like anything for me now as a songwriter, anything with keys, I am just in love with. Like if it's a massive cathedral organ, or I don't know if you probably saw the Interstellar, Interstellar, the movie.
Yeah. Yes.
So this soundtrack for that is recorded on this incredible organ. So there's just something, a warmth and an organic, something that just really connects you with the instrument in those things. So using that in my music, like using a real instrument and then around that kind of placing it in this electronic soundscape is something that I really like in my production.
Absolutely. And where do you find most of your inspiration from when writing?
The ideas for songs, obviously, like most songwriters, I'm sure, comes from life experiences and that kind of things, or just things that you see. Obviously, like, I love being outside and being in nature, so that's also a big inspiration. Musically, though, music, just listening to other artists. I have, like I'm sure most people in the world, a list of artists that I just love, and I am so open to everything. Like I really love EDM. I love classical music. I love alternative pop, kind of stadium rock, all these different things. And so I tend to take a little bit from everybody, or just the elements that I like. So maybe like the string arrangements from these stadium rock concerts, and the electronic production from a guy like, I think his name, I don't know how to pronounce it, Lido. It's like an EDM or electronic music producer, or Labyrinth. So yeah, just a whole list of artists that I love to listen to. And music is definitely one thing that if I feel like, I don't have any ideas to write about anything, or just listening to music again, just lights that fire all over again.
Okay, perfect. And do you have any shows lined up people can look forward to?
I don't have any shows right now, but the album comes out in April of next year.
Okay.
At which point there will be a bunch of shows. Love to do, obviously do a Toronto show, a Buffalo show, and then a couple town or cities in the area.
Yeah.
And then I have this dream of going to Norway and the Philippines. Like it's just two places on the planet that's been so kind to me and just supportive of the music. So I'd love to, go to a small little club there and just play a couple tunes for, I don't know, the 3 people that might be there.
Cool, man. All right. You have the release of this new single album next year. What's next for you?
Well, the album is still, like, at this very moment, what's next is there's still two tracks on the record that still has to be polished. So
Okay.
everything else is done, but there's 2 more tracks that has to be polished and get finished. And coming up shortly, there's a little Paper Planes remix coming up.
Nice.
Working with a Dutch duo, 2 DJs. It's in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Going to work with them on that. And yeah, that's some of the stuff that's like on the short list of stuff that's about to happen.
Okay, awesome, man. Last thing, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
You can find everything with a handle at Francois Klark, and Klark is Klark, and on all the platforms wherever you like to listen to music. And I just want to say thank you so much for listening. And yeah.
Absolutely, man. All right, guys, go grab his new single, Paper Planes, and stay tuned for the video. And Francois, thanks so much for chatting today.
Thank you so much for having me, Cody.
Absolutely. And yeah, let's keep in touch. Talk soon.
All right. See you, man.
Take care.